Alright, Happy New Year. Welcome back. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Alright, so getting back to it. New Year, same jet. So this is the 1/7, I believe, F-22 from T1 with the Starscream movie scheme. So yesterday, last couple videos, the drama about that leading edge flap. I did get the servo in and get it all connected, and just so I explain, how I do my setup. The last one I did, I thought I had the servo output shaft on this side of the servo, so the servo flipped over, but these were way too short to do that. So I don't know, I think maybe this wood mount is either glued in different or not as wide, because I wasn't able to put the servo in that way this time. So I flipped it over and I went out a little bit further. These rods have plenty of thread, so I mean this is still almost to the end of this metal rod, even with that much thread exposed. So what I did is once you install it and get everything set up, I put a little servo tester on it and I drive it all one way. And for the closed position of the flap, I put it like this, so there's no perpendicular load, so there's really no torque on this when it's in the closed position. And then when you go to open it or put the flaps down, it comes up like this and drives to about right there. Is about all you're going to get. That's as much as I really put, and that's with this flap. It's getting better, but you can still, it's hard to see, but it's kind of ramp shaping instead of staying flat and pivoting here. This whole area is pivoting or bending, flexing versus just this joint. Luckily, to be positive, luckily this paint chipping is in the black, so the black is easy to match. These colors I really can't match. I think the best thing that they could do if you get one of these, and I'm going to suggest this to like Dirk and Jeff with Pacific, is to maybe have them, if they could. I know usually these are two-part epoxies, so I don't know if it would work. But I mean, if you could get some little bottles of paint to just for touch-up, it would be perfect. Because I need to fix that. I mean, that's going to drive me loco. And instead of, my only way to do this now, since I can't ever match these paints, is just to go a little further up with the white, make it a nice, which is not too bad. That's doable. But it'd be nice. It would be easier if I could just, because what they did is they painted too much white. If I could just go with a darker color, it'd be easier, and I could make a nice crisp line and be good to go. But if they could get you some little little tester size bottles of touch-up paint would be great. So I don't know if it's doable, but I'll mention it. But that's what you're getting on the leading edge flap, and you can kind of see it there. That's way more than you need. I mean, you don't even, I know guys that don't even use the leading edge flaps on these. It's got such a big wing. And one thing I hate, and the first time it happened, I'm like, I didn't do anything to even, that I thought would have made it touch, but these tips just, no matter what I've done, they keep scrubbing somehow. I don't know. I don't ever have any landings that I see it actually happen. The only ones I've ever seen is when, when I had on my first one, the brake, my tire blew and it cut the brake line, and, I went to turn, and I was still too fast, and it kind of came up on the wingtip. But all the ones prior to that, it's like, I don't know when it touches. I don't know if it's when it comes down and you're kind of because it's nose low anyways, and the distance from the ground to this tip is very small when it's on its mains, and then when you're touching down, the nose compresses a little bit, and there's some little left and right, so maybe it's touching then. But I'm going to try to do something here to protect this. Maybe put a thick piano wire here, something just to keep it from because I mean I was constantly having to fill, sand, and repaint, and I don't ever see any bad landings You know, obviously I was somehow, so I'm trying to prevent that on this one. So, and if you put more leading edge flap in there, it's just going to make that happen. And I've talked to other people that has them, and they say the same thing. It's like it just happens somehow. I'm like, I don't know, you know, because I'm not doing crazy bad landings with it. Anyways, so that part is done, and then I'm gonna do one wing, and then I will, you know, not talk about the second. So I'm just gonna show you guys everything with one wing, and then I'll go to the next. So the next thing I'm about to work on is the aileron. So the aileron has these T brackets, and you just attach them to the servo on the top like this, and then it lays like this. So your servo's tucked under here. This mounts to these really thick wood ply, and then your rod obviously comes up to that. So I'm using all stock. I did all stock last time, it worked out. I used their ball ends, their rods, and everything. Their hardware. The only thing I do is I add a bigger washer on the outside, so if this ball ever does give out, it doesn't come off. You know, it may get sloppy, but it won't come off the servo arm. And I did notice that I got a broke corner. I don't know if that was just flexing or what, but because the Futaba has that little, I don't know what you call it. It's like a little extra little arm there. Maybe it's for extra strength, you know. You have to shave that down to get a flat spot. You know, you can kind of see this servo has that little stick-up piece there. So you have to shave that off because you have to attach it to the top. Other servos, that may not be an issue. And this servo, these don't move very much, maybe 15 millimeters up and down, if that. So a real short arm is all you need. You know, I go as short as I can. That way I don't have to turn down endpoints, because when you turn down endpoints, you kill resolution and torque. So always go small here and longer here if you can. I see a lot of guys doing like 3D airplane setups where it's longer here than this. One, that's a reverse mechanical advantage, which is going to do nothing for you for flutter and actually torque. So try to do that. And what they'll do is they'll cut down the endpoints, because they got so much of an arm that like they're only using like a quarter of the travel, and that just doesn't help with your gear wear, and again, resolution and torque. So, and then the flap, I had to Dremel out some here last time because the servo goes in here, and it's like that. Those upper screws were impossible. I think this time what I'm going to do, and I think I did it last time, was I ended up using like a bolt somehow to hold it in there, these front two, because you can't get in there with a screw like you can these, and these are even hard. But that's where the flap goes. And the way I did the flaps, same thing. When I pull down, servo arm goes back, and it goes to that kind of, this kind of position when it's pulled. That way, you know, it's not it makes it easier on the servo to hold it. And then of course when it's up, it'll be more like that. So try to do that the best you can, because that just helps with overall wear and tear on your servo and gives you much better mechanical advantage, you know, or at least that's how it works in my brain. Okay, so, and that's it. So I'm gonna get these installed, and then I'll probably do another video showing you, you know, what it looks like once it's installed. But oh, and I meant to mention this earlier, but I started using this finally. So some of you may have saw this, but BBM had these little guys on sale, and I already had this. I bought this years ago, and this were actually really, these little clevis pliers work great for that leading edge flap. But I needed some new tools, you know, because the ones I had, you know, these old line ones are the tips are getting worn out and everything. So I wanted some new ones, and they have the metric and then the standard, and then they called these screwdrivers, these Phillips screwdrivers. These things are freaking fantastic. They just seem to fit all the little, you know, Phillips screws that you use with these models. I've always had trouble finding a good, you know, Phillips, but these were great. And at that time, I don't know if it's still the same, you could get it laser etched with whatever you wanted for free. So I don't know if it's hard to say. There, hold on, let me see if I can get it. There it goes. Bam. So you can get whatever you want engraved on there, and I just put my business and online shop logo. So, but these things are fantastic. The only thing I didn't like, and I'm guessing maybe you could get it, is if you get one of those little magnetizer things, maybe you could magnetize the tips on these, but they're not magnetized. That's the only thing I didn't like. But I don't know if you can get a little magnetizer and do it. So those were good. That's a good investment. I'm a big believer in right tools for the right job. So way to go, BVM. And I'm still hoping someday to get one of their models, man. They just haven't made anything I wanted. You know, the only thing that I want is one of their large F-18s, just because it's one of my favorite jets. But I want an F model. You know, and I love the way they work and get them to the point where, you know, it's really a no-brainer, and they're just, you know, good models and fly really well. But so hopefully someday they'll do the F model. I keep bugging them about it, and maybe someday somebody will do an A6, a large A6 intruder. That'd be awesome. But I think that's about it for this one. This all came in one hardware package, and like I said, it's nice that they make checklists so they cover everything. I don't bash I try not to bash now, you know, various brands, you know, just like with turbines. I won't talk bad about another turbine. You know, people ask me all the time about this and that with turbines because I'm the Zykoa guy, and I was just like, look, you know, I've flown most of them, and it's just all in what you're looking for and what works for you and what you feel comfortable with. But Skymaster, they don't do this, and I wish they would, because they just throw like you get like that, and it's just a bunch of nuts and bolts and screws of various sizes all in one pack, and it's like you don't use but a few of them, and I'm like, that seems like it's a waste of money for them. And as we know, they don't do instructions for these. You know, you see Skymaster has the occasional manual on their website, but it's just somebody's build, and it's never anything worth a dang. You know, it's not worth printing out and even looking at, actually. And that's why I do this, is to give people behind me be able to make an educational decision on if they want to purchase it, because hey, here's what you could possibly expect. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly part. And oh, by the way, here's how I did it, so you're not having to like look and stare for hours scratching your head. And I also do it because people come up with ideas that are like, oh wow, that's a great idea, I wish I would have done that. Well, let me change mine. So it's a learning process, and that's the whole point of this, is I like to promote, educate, and help. So that's why I do this. So anyways, and speaking of that, I typically put these on, the videos are on my YouTube page, which you can, you know, just YouTube search Fender Bean 1979 and you'll see all my videos. And I try to put them in their individual build folders, like there'll be like a section for various things. And I also put them on my Facebook build page, which is also my business page. And that's the Fender Bean RC website on Facebook. And then I typically do it on RC Universe as well, but I'm kind of getting less where I do that less, because it's not user friendly to upload. And I think because of the quality of these new phones versus my, you know, what used to be top of the line, you know, Canon handheld video camera, it's actually just easier to film and photo with your phone, and then I can just upload straight from that to the website. And it's just doing that with RC Universe is kind of a pain, and then you get you still, unfortunately, the internet's very toxic, and I get sucked into the rabbit hole just like everybody else sometimes, but I've tried to get away from it, and it just gets real toxic on there because people just seem to think their way is the only way, and it's, you know, it's gospel for them. I'm like, I don't get it. It just, people are just really abrasive, you know, and toxic. So if I go away from RC Universe, don't be mad. And I'm sorry if you don't have Facebook, but the majority of the people have went that way just because of ease. And like I said, RC Universe isn't the easiest to deal with anymore. So, but I'm still doing it. I'll probably do it for, you know, this one, and, you know, finish this one and this one. And then I've got 2 more models coming this year. And I don't know if I'll do them on there. We'll just see. We'll just see how it goes. Anyways, because it takes some time, and it takes a lot of time to do the videos, to upload, write descriptions, give, kind of thing, when I can just do it all on, my phone and upload immediately and be done with it. So I'm going to get back to it, work on the aileron, and I'll probably go ahead and do the flap on this one, and then I'll show you guys once it's done later. And Happy New Year.